Hi everyone, welcome to Strip Club.
Hi.
Today I'm going to bring you our new Strip Club pattern. It is January here at Cozy Quilt Shop, and January traditionally is our batik strip bundles. So here we have our brand new strip quilt that features, does not have to use, but features 2.5-inch batik strips. Do you like it?
Love it. Love it.
The name of the quilt is Daybreak. Doesn't it just look cheerful and sunshiny and just a perfect name for this quilt? What we have here are batik strips. In addition, we have a light background. You probably can't see it very well, but there's also a medium background. And then there is an accent fabric and borders. So let me point out those different fabrics for you. This is the light background. This is the medium background. Now the pattern says medium. I just want you to think of it as slightly darker, because it's a subtle difference in this quilt between this light and this medium background. Over here, this blue is our accent fabric. Now notice you see that blue behind every star. And then we repeated that same accent fabric in border 1. Then finally we have border 2 here, and border 2 pulls all the colors in together, and that blue pulls it all in and makes it all work and pop. Very good. Do you like it?
Yes.
Okay. You want to see how the block comes together?
Yes.
Okay, it's really easy. In fact, you don't even need me. Oh, thanks, guys. Okay, here is your block. Ta-da. Here is a quadrant. That is a quadrant. You put 4 quadrants together and you'll get your block. So each block is either a light background or a medium background, in our case a slightly darker background, very slightly darker background. Even though it's a very small contrast between that light and the slightly darker background, it is subtle enough that I think it makes the quilt more interesting. That's why we have those 2 different background colors. So when you go to cut your strips, the pattern will tell you how many segments and what size to cut them all. It'll tell you to pull some strips for sections A and B. This is section A and B. A and B will always be the same color in a block. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. And then we have segments C and D. C and D, and they are always different fabrics in a block. So when you go to pull your fabrics, you just want to make sure that the A and B are going to be your the center of the blocks, and then C and D are going to be the outside pieces of the block. So cut your cut your strips as the pattern says. It'll all be there, nicely spelled out, lots of pictures. If you don't have the pattern, you can get your pattern at your local quilt shop. And since we are your local quilt shop, you have the pattern. The pattern, I neglected to say, but really need to say, is designed by my mom, Georgette Dell'Orco. And she is such a talent, and really came through in December when she showed me this pattern, and I went, that's it, that's what we're going to do. Thank you. You just made my December and January a lot easier. So in order to make the blocks, to make the block pieces, you need to collect your A and then your background pieces. And you will draw a diagonal line as the pattern says. And you be very careful about where you put the diagonal line on the segments, and then how you place those segments on your print strips. Section A is made by placing a background fabric with a diagonal line as pictured on a print strip as pictured. You will sew a line on that diagonal line. Sew a thread inside that line towards the point, because that will account for the fold. After you've stitched it, you'll flip it over. Make sure the edges are flush. If the edges are flush, you can flip it back down, and then cut away the excess fabric behind here, and then flip it back and press, just like that. And that's how you make segment A. Segment B, oh, here's another example. Segment B is made in much the same way, except the only difference is you'll also attach a square to the other side. Now, you'll notice the orientation of those diagonal stripes, those diagonal lines. That's going to be key to success in making your block. Just pay attention to the orientation. Stitch, flip, press, make sure it goes. There you have one, and there you have another, like that. Looks like that. And so now you have your A and B pieces. You follow?
Yes.
C pieces and D pieces are made in much the same way. C becomes this piece, finished to look like that. Do you see how now we got from there to there? And then the D piece, different sizes, same concept. Start with this piece, flip open, cut away the excess, you get a piece that looks like that. You follow? Okay, now the only thing we need to complete the block are the accent pieces that will form the center here. So you will have your 2.5-inch accent, 2.5-inch background, and then a 4.5-inch background segment. So those four together. Ta-da. And then attach your other pieces as diagrammed. Let's see if I can get this now. Oh, you need to add this piece first. And then you'll add this piece.
Turn around. There you go.
And then you'll add this piece. And you see how you'll grow the block by adding more pieces to the side. And you'll see how the biggest trick is the orientation of the pieces.
Yes.
And then you'll add the final piece. Those pieces together make your block, just like that. 4 blocks come together, you put the same background fabrics together to create the light ones, and then you do the same thing with the medium background and create those blocks. The blocks will be 16 inches, and if 16-inch block is too big a block for you to do, just think of it as 8-inch blocks, just 4 of them together. So that's as simple as it is to put that together. Do you have any questions? You really have no questions. It's that easy. It is that easy. Are we going to do it?
Yes.
Are we going to do it?
Yes.
Now, as you can see here, we have beautiful bright fabrics. But you could probably picture it in other colorways, right? Yeah? You know, it's funny you should ask. I happen to have a quilt here that does use other colors. Would you like to see that?
Yes.
I would love a volunteer to help hold up a quilt. Here she's coming. Yes. She didn't know she was being volunteered. This is Kathy. Come towards me. Come towards me. Oh, do you love it? Now this features a Hoffman Valley pot called Brown Sugar. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah. So here you see that accent fabric we picked, also border 1, is this beautiful sort of seafoam blue, and then we have the 2 different background colors, and then the border that pulls it all together. Now this is a twin. The pattern is written, I think, has 5 different sizes. The one we have up on the wall is a throw, and this one is a twin. The twin will take 47 strips. So if you're working with a bundle of 2.5-inch strips, most bundles are 40 strips. So you'll need 7 additional strips. That's not hard to pull together. Here's your magic formula. For every 1/4 yard cut you buy, you can get 3 2.5-inch strips. So how many 1/4 yard cuts do we need to get 7 more strips?
3.
3. Very good. Well done, class. Gold star for everyone. So just with 3/4 yard cuts, you could have the additional strips you need to add to a bundle of 40 strips. Pretty? Yes, this one's going to come home with me when all is said and done. Yes, sorry, quite me for it. So this is the Brown Sugar Valley Pop in our pattern Daybreak. And do you have any questions? No questions. All right, my friends. Well, it is January 2013. That means it's a new year, a new chance to start new projects. I wish you all a very happy year full of stitching. May your 1/4 seams be even, and may your sewing machine always hum, and may dinner be ready for you when your project's done. Thanks all for coming. Join us next time when we'll have another pattern that uses 2.5-inch strips.